Hello fellow YouTubers, I'm Cassandra Joy and welcome to my channel. It's been a long while since I've sat down and chatted to you about books. In fact, it's been a while since I've actually sat down and read a book. Lately I've been working on my works in progress, which include my Night Sky project, aka my YA fantasy that I've been working on for years, and my Chai project, a fictional romance that I hope to get in your hands very soon. That's been monopolizing the majority of my free time, which has sadly left me very little time to devote to reading. But there are 7 books that I'm looking forward to reading this summer, and I thought I would share them with you. Now, there are a few things you need to know about me before I dive into this. I am a mood reader. It's rare that I start a book and finish it all within a few sittings. I'll start one, get out of the mood of it, start a different one, get out of the mood for that, start the next one, get out of the mood for that, start the first one over again, and the cycle continues. But in the summer, for whatever reason, the kind of stories I gravitate to most are romance and mystery. I don't know why, but in the summer, I love a good whodunit. I love a sweep me off my feet romance. The cheesier, the better. So there are 7 books that I plan on getting through this summer. I know there are 6 in the pile, but there's a 7th one on the way. I don't have it in my hands yet, but don't worry. I'll show you a picture of the cover and everything. So let's start with the book I'm currently reading, Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is a book of the month pick, which if you don't know what that is and you're a bookworm, you need to sign up. It's so affordable. I think it's something like $10 a month. I know that I have a discount code in the description box, which I believe should get you your very first book for only $5. I used it to get my first book for $5 and I was hooked ever since. Not only do they give you beautiful hardcover copies of books, but they also introduce you to authors who have not been in the spotlight for very long. A lot of them are new and emerging, ones that you may never have heard about otherwise. And as someone who strives to be a published author someday, that idea really appeals to me, giving the new upcomers a moment to shine. I had started reading Book Lovers, also by Emily Henry, and again, as a mood reader, I started it, loved it, but put it down to start something else. But when I saw this, I knew I had to have this for a summer read. It's called Beach Read, which I feel like is very appropriately titled, and I will give you the synopsis in the front cover. Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best-selling romance. When she pens a happily ever after, he kills off his entire cast. They're polar opposites. In fact, the only thing they have in common is that for the next 3 months, they're living in neighboring beach houses, broke and bogged down with writer's block. Then one hazy evening, one thing leads to another, and they strike a deal designed to force them out of their creative ruts. Augustus will spend the summer writing something happy, and January will pen the next great American novel. She'll take him on field trips worthy of any rom-com montage, and he'll take her to interview surviving members of a backwoods death cult, obviously. Everyone will finish a book, and no one will fall in love. Really. I'm currently about to start chapter 12, so I feel like I can speak a little bit more in depth about this book and what it will give you. For me, in the summer, I don't want something super deep and emotional and something that makes me have to think a lot as far as romance goes. I want something that's light, that's quick, that's full of banter. Bonus points if it has a picturesque setting and a little bit of depth in the backstory, but it'll get an extra gold star from me if it has banter, sweet tension, and a happily ever after. I don't know if this has a happily ever after. I assume from what I know of Emily Henry that it will, but oh my word, the banter is on point. The tension is palpable and it is just so good. This is the lighthearted beach read, pun totally intended, that I was craving for the summer. Also, I noticed that all of my romances are yellow covers. That was not intentional. I don't know how that happened. Next up in the romance category is 100 Days of Sunlight. Now, what makes this book extra special, not just because of the story, which I'll tell you about in a minute, but because of the author itself. Abby Emmons is a fellow YouTuber. She is an indie author, which means she doesn't belong to a publishing house. They don't own her book. She was able to publish it, market it, gain an audience, and make a profit all by herself, which is so hard to do. She has definite props from me. The benefit to being part of a publishing house is that they already have the experts in their wheelhouse. If you need a book cover designed, they've got someone to do that. If you need an editor, tighten your prose a little bit, they've got someone to do that. When you're an indie author, you have to do all of that yourself. You have to hire out those people yourself with your own money. If you do it right, the results are fairly similar as far as success. A publishing house has a little bit more marketing money to play with than you do. However, back in the day, they would take care of all of that. Nowadays, it's still up to the author to market their stuff, whether you have a publishing house or not. This book has apparently done very well, and I think when you hear the back cover, you'll understand why. When 16-year-old poetry blogger Tessa Dickinson is involved in a car accident and loses her eyesight for 100 days, she feels like her whole world has been turned upside down. Terrified that her vision might never return, Tessa feels like she has nothing left to be happy about. But when her grandparents place an ad in the local newspaper looking for a typist to help Tessa continue writing and blogging, an unlikely answer knocks at their door. Weston Ludovico, a boy her age with bright eyes, an optimistic smile, and no legs. Knowing how angry and afraid Tessa is feeling, Weston thinks he can help her, but he has one condition. No one can tell Tessa about his disability, and because she can't see him, she treats him with contempt, screaming at him to get out of her house and never come back. But for Weston, it's the most amazing feeling to be treated like a normal person, not just a sob story. So he comes back, again and again and again. Tessa spurns Weston's obnoxious optimism, convinced that he has no idea what she's going through. Weston knows exactly how she feels and reaches into her darkness to show her that there is more than one way to experience the world. As Tessa grows closer to Weston, she finds it harder and harder to imagine life without him, and Weston can't imagine life without her. But he still hasn't told her the truth, and when Tessa's sight returns, he'll have to make the hardest decision of his life: vanish from Tessa's world or overcome his fear of being seen. I would just like to give you a moment to appreciate the cover. She hired someone to design it, but she had a heavy hand in what went in it, and apparently the cover has a lot of Easter eggs that pop up throughout the book. So I guess waffles are a big thing, a laptop for blogging obviously, there's a guitar, a Polaroid camera, flowers galore. It just looks so cool aesthetically, but I love the fact that there's Easter eggs hidden in it as well. Again, this was something I started and never finished, not for any reason, just life of a mood reader. But I'd like to pick this up again, probably starting from the beginning since I kind of forget where I left off. See if I can finish it this summer. Next on the romance list is called The House on Sunshine Corner. I picked this up at my grocery store of all places. It's by Phoebe Mills, and the reason I liked it was not only because of the really darling yellow door and the dog on the front cover, but because of the main character's profession. Let me read it to you. You'll understand. Abby Engel has a great life. She's the owner of Sunshine Corner, the daycare she runs with her girlfriends. You see why I picked it up now? She has the most adoring grandmother, aka the baby whisperer, and she lives in a perfect hidden gem of a town. I mean, all that's missing is the thing she wants most: a family. But after a stint of online dating and a string of bad blind dates, she's ready to give up. And then her ex-boyfriend, aka the love of her life, walks back into town. Carter Hayes has no intention of staying at Heart's Hope Bay. He's there to help his sister out for a few weeks, and then he's back on a plane to Las Vegas. But small town living has its appeal, and it's not long before Carter's reminded of just how much he loves his hometown and the one woman he's never been able to forget. But after breaking her heart all those years ago, can Carter convince Abby that he's her happy ever after? It sounds like a small town gem of a romance, and I am all about that for a summer read. That finishes off the romance section of my list of 7 books. Now we're gonna deep dive into the mysteries. Also, can I just pause and show off my shirt for a second? This is by Elly and Grace. If you've not heard of this company, they're not paying me to say this, by the way, I just genuinely love them. Their shirts feel like pajamas. I could literally sleep in these and be happy. They're a God-centered small business that makes quality t-shirts with darling motifs on the front. Everything from Bible verses to things like choose joy, encouraging quotes. I mean, you name it, they've pretty much got it for every season. I picked this one up for the summertime because I loved the blue tie-dye, and anything that says joy I'm obviously gonna love because of my name. If you want something cozy to wear while you read, I would definitely look into Elly and Grace. Did I mention that's their name? Elly and Grace. I'll link their website down below for you. All right, now on to mysteries. I'm just gonna lead with, I've started all of these and haven't finished any of them. This book is called The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I got to chapter 34. These chapters are super short, which makes you feel like you just fly through it. I really like that. I'm not sure if this front cover has Easter eggs in it or not, but it kind of looks like it does. It has the same vibe going on. It's beautiful. I love the embossing and the kind of reflective quality. It's not metallic, but it sort of gives off that effect anyway. The tagline is, "She came from nothing, they have everything, let the games begin. I'm really not sure what I could compare it to. I know the movie Clue and National Treasure come to mind, but what you really need to know is that there is an entire mansion full of hidden passageways, angry relatives of a deceased family member who, for whatever reason, left all of his wealth, everything, including the gorgeous mansion, to a girl he never had any contact with, isn't related to, and never spoke to in his life. The family members are not pleased, as you could probably guess. Let me read the back. $46.2 billion, I thought, my heart attacking my rib cage and my mouth sandpaper dry. Tobias Hawthorne was worth $46.2 billion. And Tobias Hawthorne didn't leave everything to his grandsons. He didn't leave everything to his daughters. The math in this equation did not add up. It couldn't add up. My brain ground to a halt. My ears rang. One by one, the other occupants of the room turned to stare at me. Secret passageways, elaborate riddles, billions at stake. Let the games begin. Avery Grams has a plan for a better future. Survive high school, win a scholarship, and get out. But her luck changes in an instant when billionaire Tobias Hawthorne dies and leaves her virtually his entire fortune. The only catch? Avery must move to a sprawling mansion full of secret passages, riddles, and codes. Unfortunately for Avery, Hawthorne House is also occupied by the family that Tobias Hawthorne just disinherited. This includes the 4 Hawthorne grandsons, dangerous, magnetic boys who grew up with every expectation that one day they would inherit billions. Heir apparent Grayson Hawthorne is convinced that Avery must be a con woman, and he's determined to take her down. But his brother Jameson views her as their grandfather's last hurrah, a twisted riddle, a puzzle to be solved. Caught in a world of wealth and privilege with danger around every turn, Avery will have to play the game herself just to survive in this twisty, thrilling new mystery from beloved author Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I already started annotating just a little bit, highlighting here and there, writing notes on tabbies like foreshadowing. I'm not a huge annotator. I don't take it really seriously like some people do, but I enjoy it every so often, and I thought this would be a fun book to do that with. I am so excited to see the end of this. See the end of this? Read the end of this. I've heard nothing but good things. My friend Allison of the ABC Market actually recommended it to me. The ABC Market is the place where I get all of my delicious smelling literary candles. The booth that I visit at Vintage Market Days of Dayton and Cincinnati every single year, that one, that friend. She recommended it, and I cannot wait to see how this ends. Next up, A Darker Shade of Magic. This is a mystery, but also a fantasy. If you don't know me at all and you're new around here, fantasy is my bread and butter. If I had to give up all of the genres but one, I would choose fantasy. I picked this up from my local library a few years ago and started reading it, and it just didn't grab me. I don't know why, because the second time I picked it up, which was a few months ago, I couldn't put it down. I'm gonna say it again. Life of a mood reader. This has a little bit of everything, but instead of me blundering the synopsis, I'm just gonna read it to you. Prepare to be dazzled by a world of parallel Londons, where magic thrives, starves, or lies forgotten, and where power can destroy just as quickly as it can create. Welcome to Grey London, dirty and boring, without any magic, and one mad king. Then there's Red London, where life and magic are revered, and White London, a city slowly being drained through magical war, down to its very bones. And once upon a time, there was Black London, but no one speaks of that now. Officially, Kell is the Red Traveler, one of the last magicians who can travel between worlds, acting as ambassador and messenger between the Londons in service of the Marish Empire. Unofficially, he's a smuggler, which is a dangerous hobby for him to have, as proved when Kell stumbles into a setup with a forbidden token from Black London. Fleeing into Grey London, Kell runs afoul of Delilah Bard, a cut-purse with lofty aspirations who first robs him, then saves him from a dangerous enemy, and then forces Kell to spirit her to another world for a proper adventure. But perilous magic is afoot, and treachery lurks at every turn. To save all of the worlds, they'll first need to stay alive. For anybody who's read the Book of Lost Things, the voice actor who read the audiobook for that also reads the audiobook for this. Once you read the Book of Lost Things, you can't forget any part of it. It's just that scarring to you, for better or worse. And the actor's voice was one of those things branded into my brain for all time. So when I heard it, I instantly thought, oh, it's the same guy. Let's see, how far did I get? I think I left off about here, so I had this much left to go. I was almost done. I didn't realize I did the audiobook, so I couldn't tell where in the book I was. All right, that won't take me long to finish. I heard a review about this from a bookstagrammer on Instagram, and she just raved about this. I mean, couldn't stop talking about it for about a month. So I figured it was really good. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure V.E. Schwab also wrote The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So if you like that book, this is nothing like it. It's fantastical completely. There's magic, there's mayhem, there's adventure, there's cutthroat, there's bad guys, there's good guys, there's politics, there's gray areas, there's other worlds and magic portals. It has everything you could want in a fantastical adventure. I mean, I'll let you decide for yourself, but the fact that I got through almost all of it and love it to the point where I want to finish it says enough. Second to last mystery is Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This is also a book of the month pick from a few months ago, and I've only got through to page 70 and I already creeped out. Again, when I read the summary, I think you'll understand why. When Rowan Kane stumbles across the ad, she's looking for something else completely. But it seems like too good an opportunity to miss. A live-in nanny post with a staggeringly generous salary. You get it now? Yeah, I knew you would. And when she arrives at Heather Bray House, she is smitten by the luxurious smart home fitted out with all modern conveniences by the beautiful Scottish Highlands and by this picture-perfect family. What she doesn't know is that she's stepping into a nightmare, one that will end with a child dead and herself in prison awaiting trial for murder. Writing to her lawyer from prison, she struggles to explain the unraveling events that led to her incarceration. It wasn't just the constant surveillance from the cameras installed around the house, or the malfunctioning technology that woke the household with booming music or turned the lights off at the worst possible time. It wasn't just the girls, who turned out to be a far cry from the immaculately behaved model children she met at her interview. It wasn't even the way she was left alone for weeks at a time, with no adults around apart from the enigmatic handyman, Jack Grant. It was everything. She knows she's made mistakes. She admits that she lied to obtain the post, and that her behavior toward the children wasn't always ideal. She's not innocent, by any means, but she maintains she's not guilty. At least, not of murder, which means someone else is. Full of spellbinding menace and told in Ruth Ware's signature suspenseful style, The Turn of the Key is an unputdownable thriller from the Agatha Christie of our time. This is suspense with a capital S. I mean, just the premise of a nanny post gone wrong, being abandoned by the other adults in the family to care for these children alone for weeks at a time. Just the thought of that, being in a house that isn't mine and knowing that I'm being watched all the time would just, I wouldn't take the post. I don't care how good of money it was. But the idea obviously intrigued me because I picked it for my book of the month pick. And the reason I put it down, honestly, is because I was still a nanny at the time and I just couldn't nanny and also read this. It just skeezed me out a little too much. So I definitely want to pick this up again now that I'm no longer a nanny and see how it ends. And now for the book that I don't have on hand, but I will hopefully be reading in very short order. Let me look it up on my Book of the Month app. Again, if you're not a Book of the Month family member, you really need to join so that we can be besties and talk about the books we've picked. Ooh, my book is en route. It's arriving between July 5th and July 7th. Ooh. The book I chose, I'm not sure how well you can see that, is this one called The Only One Left. It's by Riley Sager, and the thing I love about Book of the Month is that it not only gives you a quick take, just like a sentence or two of what it's about. For instance, it says, from the king of thrills and chills, a new story with unexplained murders, a spooky cliff mansion, and lots of secrets. It also tells you things that are good to know about the book. So for instance, it tells me it takes place in the 80s, it's creepy, it has an unreliable narrator, and it involves a haunted house. I love that feature, by the way. It has come in so handy. There have been a few books where I was sort of on the fence about whether or not I wanted to read it, and once I saw the good to know bits, I could either decide, ooh, yes, this is for me, or no, I will pass. Let me read you the synopsis. If there are kids in the room, maybe just cover their ears for half a second, because I don't know if this is necessarily kid appropriate. At 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope. Now reduced to a schoolyard chant, the Hope family murders shocked the Maine coast one bloody night in 1929. While most people assume 17-year-old Lenora was responsible, the police were never able to prove it, other than her denial after the killings. She has never spoken publicly about that night, nor has she set foot outside Hope's End, the cliffside mansion where the massacre occurred. Stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It's now 1983, and home health aide Kit McDeer, that's really hard to say, arrives at a decaying Hope's End to care for Lenora after her previous nurse fled in the middle of the night. In her 70s and confined to a wheelchair, Lenora was rendered mute by a series of strokes and can only communicate with Kit by tapping out sentences on an old typewriter. One night, Lenora uses it to make a tantalizing offer. I want to tell you everything. "It wasn't me," Lenora said, "but she's the only one not dead." As Kit helps Lenora write about the events leading to the Hope family massacre, it becomes clear there's more to the tale than people know. But when new details about her predecessor's departure come to light, Kit starts to suspect Lenora might not be telling the complete truth, and that the seemingly harmless woman in her care could be far more dangerous than she first thought. It just sounds so good. I love a summer mystery, and that just sounds right up my street. You were probably far ahead of me in making a dent in your summer reading list, but I figured I would let you know anyway, just in case you were looking for something to make the summer that much more memorable, that much more cozy. And if you read any of these books, please, please, please comment down below and let me know so we can chat about it once I've finished. I know sit-down chats aren't normally my thing, but I hope you guys don't mind me including them in the upload rotation a little bit more frequently. I never think about filming them until I sit down and do, and then I think, why haven't I done this more often? I genuinely enjoy this. It makes me feel like I'm chatting to you. I feel like in a vlog, I'm more go, 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 and I don't really sit down and have a conversation, but to me, this feels like that conversation aspect. Likelihood of you reading any of the same books as me this summer is probably very slim, but I would love for you to please comment down below what you are reading this summer. Bookworms and book dragons, unite. This is your opportunity to have a conversation with each other in the comments and share your reading lists. What is your summer TBR? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you never miss a future video from me. I upload on Wednesdays and Saturdays, both at 6 a.m. and sometimes on Mondays. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got some books to read. I'll see you in the next one. Love you guys. Mwah. Bye.